going on, fight fans? This is Coach D, the Wild Man, coming at you again with another episode of MMA Fight Camp. All right, you know I do with MMA Fight Camp. I talk about all things MMA, from the pro scene to the local scene. Now, you know, in this fight game, we see a lot of things come and go. We've seen promotions rise. We see promotions fall. We've seen anything and everything in combat sports. But what's been coming on the scene hot and heavy less than a year is bare knuckle boxing. Now, I have been blown away at how two guys just putting their hands together want to punch somebody in the jaw bare knuckle, but apparently that is exactly what they want to do. So I got my man Nate Shook on the line, and me and him, we've been rolling for a minute. I didn't know he rolled like this, though. The man has become a major player in a short amount of time. So what he's going to do, he's going to get us caught up and give us his history, how he got in the game of combat sports, and how he got to bare knuckle boxing. So Nate, what's going on, partner?
Not too much, buddy. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for you coming on. So let's get the fans caught up. Tell us your backstory. How'd you get into combat sports? It seems like you've done quite a bit. How'd you get into combat sports?
So to cut out the fat of it, in 2003, I ended up promoting some tough man boxing events. Mm-hmm. From there, I got into professional boxing events, which boxing's my first love. I saw the amount of talent that was out there. And then a lot of the guys, though, they were tired of being B-side, and they didn't have any backers to them. So they start like dabbling in mixed martial arts. Mm-hmm. But there wasn't a lot of talent in the area at the time for mixed martial arts. But to give my guys an opportunity, I started promoting mixed martial arts events then. Mm-hmm. We first did it in a ring. We ended up moving on to the cage. This whole time I was living in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. I was ended up getting them with a guy named Brett Kassler. And we started doing shows in Greenville, Charleston, South Carolina in 2010. And then I moved to Pennsylvania to take another job up there. Ended up becoming a boxing coach at a gym up there. Mm-hmm. And promoting boxing and MMA. I did some boxing out of state and then MMA in Pennsylvania, Maryland, some other states. So in 2006, September 2006, I worked with David Feldman's brother. I was matchmaking a show for him. Mm-hmm. And that was my first introduction to Dave. We hit it off. He had a hard work ethic. The man works countless hours. Mm-hmm. We got along really well. We lost contact for a couple of years. But then in 2009, I had an opportunity to have my events aired on TV. And I approached him with it. That sparked a new business relationship. And we started doing mixed martial arts events together. Mm-hmm. I did a bunch at some casinos under my own company name. And then I merged with his company, XFE. And he had a bunch of casinos that he was doing shows at. So I tagged on with him, helped him out a lot. And, 2018, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship kicked off, and here we are.
Okay. So who actually came up with it, or has it been out for a while? You just doing your own show? How Bare Knuckle Boxing come to life? So specifically,
Bare Knuckle Boxing is a historic sport. I mean, it dates back, to 1800s and prior. I mean, two men punching each other in the face ungloved isn't anything new in history.
Yeah.
What Dave did, though, was in 2011, I believe it was August 5th, he did one fight out at Scottsdale, Arizona, I believe, at the Fort McDowell Indian Reservation. And it was a huge success. Mm-hmm. At that point, he knew he had something that was, gold. It was a matter of finding an athletic commission in a state that would allow him to do it. So he petitioned for years, going and lobbying and trying to get these states to get on board. And it didn't happen until June 2nd of 2018, when Wyoming allowed us to do the first ever legal, sanctioned, and regulated bare knuckle boxing fight in history. Even before, it wasn't legal, sanctioned, regulated. And that's the key to this. Like, a lot of people say, oh, others have done it. They might have, but it was never legal, sanctioned, and regulated, all three. Mm-hmm.
So we all know all the hurdles that, mixed martial arts had to go through. And like you just said, you had to go through some, as well. So we said Wyoming was the state that took it on?
David Feldman, yes.
Yeah. So what did the commission see that made them go, okay, I want to do this? What was the deciding factor?
So I don't know all the details behind his negotiations with these different states.
Mm-hmm.
What I can tell you, though, is the simple fact of things that when I speak to athletic commissions and sanctioning bodies is the fact you have two men in the same weight class, just like any other combat sport, and all they're doing is using their fists, which is allowed in boxing, mixed martial arts, kickboxing, etc. The difference is it's ungloved. But the comparison we make is, would you rather get kicked upside the head, kneed upside the head, or punched in the face with a bare fist? And everyone I ever speak to says they'd rather be punched in the face with a bare fist than kneed in the face or kicked in the face. So just by common sense, it's a safer sport. Well, Dave went out and did more than that. He talked to doctors, neurologists, and found specialists that deal with brain trauma, injuries, stuff like that. And they agreed that it is a less dangerous sport. Now, there's more facial injuries, there's more cuts and lacerations potentially, but the long term, you don't have your brain bouncing off your skull the same way you do like other combat sports. The brain damage isn't the same. Like, and there's no, like, I know thousands of men that have been punched in the face.
Yeah.
You know, and if you talk to them, the damage they take from getting punched in the face is minimal compared to, you know, taking, like I said, a knee, a kick, an elbow upside the head. So, which is a lot more, there's a higher chance of, you know, having something happen.
Okay, I hear you on that one. So here is a question I really want to ask. I mean, you guys have been around less than a year, and like everywhere I turn, I see bare knuckle boxing. What has been the key to your success that you've risen so fast on social media and in the eyes of, you know, of fans? Everybody seems to love bare knuckle boxing, man. What's the key to your success?
First, I think it's relativity. Like I said, growing up, I don't know any males that haven't been punched in the face. If it's elementary, middle school, high school, I could say like most men I know have got hit, so they can relate to it.
Yeah,
it's not like mixed martial arts or jiu-jitsu where someone may have never been taken down with a power double. They may have never been put in an arm bar or some of these fancy chokes. When you see one man punch another man, you can say, man, that hurt. I know what it feels like. Secondly, the marketing behind it. You know, Dave went after some high-level UFC veterans along with bringing in some new talent. You know, we had guys on the last card, Leonard Garcia, you know, and Lane. Those two men are warriors. You know, they went out there, and I didn't expect it was going to be that big of a firefight of a fight between those guys. I mean, they dropped each other both in the first round. Yeah, it was an amazing fight. Kendall Grove, Chris Lytle, Beck Rollins, I mean, Joe Riggs, like you name it. You know, he has UFC veterans that have established records, and they made the decision to come on over. They didn't have to fight bare knuckle. They wanted to. Then you have all these up and comers like Marcel Stamps. If you haven't seen the guy fight, I mean, he knocked out Kendall Grove. That was impressive. I mean, so now you have new talent coming into the sport that's transitioning over. You have people who may have been out of the sport for a little bit, and now you have these guys that have a ton of experience that say, hey, I want to try it.
Yeah. So
I think he did a really good job at going out there, finding all this talent, marketing it in different areas, Wyoming, down in Mississippi. You know, we just released the Northeast show on April 6th. So with all those combined, I really think that people see it and it's something new. It's there's nothing boring. There's no laying praying. There's no clinching, trying to just hold each other like sometimes in boxing. The rule sets and everything, the staff, the referees he brought on board, he didn't spare anything. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. So let's talk about sponsors. How do there you go. How do sponsors see bare knuckle boxing? I know like MMA, it's hard to get a bunch of sponsors because everybody is mom and family friendly, so no one wants to put a hardcore brand like mixed martial arts. You know, so how are sponsors perceiving bare knuckle boxing to raise capital?
So the feedback I've been getting, I can't talk for all the sponsors, obviously, but the ones that I've personally been speaking to, they love it. When I talk to the individuals, they think it's a phenomenal sport. It has, you know, a ton of potential. The problem is the they're looking at and they're saying maybe next time.
Yeah.
Or if they're getting on board, they say, hey, we love it. I mean, if you look at the sponsors we had at this last show, we had a ton of sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't deal with any of them, so I'm not sure the interaction between them.
Yeah.
But the ones I was talking to, none of the sponsors have ever told me, oh, the sport's too brutal. You know, they said, hey, we love the idea. We love the concept. Let's see how it goes in a couple of shows.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just like anything else. I don't get any different feedback from the sponsors or potential sponsors than I do compared to if I'm going out and asking them to sponsor MMA or boxing or something else. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. Like, they want to see, are you going to be around? You know, what's the level of involvement? How much exposure do you have? What are your demographics? Things of that nature. But Dave and the staff put together a great media package we send on out. It's very detailed. It gives them all the information they need. They rarely ever ask questions because all the information's in their form.
So when it comes to picking talent, what is the average record that a fighter should have for you to select them? Like I know we spoke before. You said, you know, having a good media presence is a plus, but how much does the record play into who you pick?
So it doesn't really. Obviously, we're not going to take the guy who's 1 in 10. But if someone has at least 3 professional wins in another combat sport and they're not coming off of a knockout or a TKO loss, I'm going to consider them. And here's the reason why. You can have a fighter who's 4 and 6, let's say, in mixed martial arts, but all 6 of his losses came by submission or decision. But say his 4 wins, say 2 of them came by knockout. Well, just because he's not good on the ground doesn't mean he's not going to be good in bare knuckle. He's proven himself.
Yeah.
Or you can have a guy who's 3 and 10 pro boxing, but if you look at the guys he's fought, if he's fought 6 guys who are champs or who went on to be champs, that doesn't mean he's not a good boxer. It means he was B-side. He was going in there. If he's not getting stopped by these guys, then you know he's tough. And if he has a couple of wins, you know that he's pulled off some upsets. So if a guy's 1-0, I'm probably not going to look at him unless he has, you know, a big media presence, something like that, or social media presence. But if a guy's 4 and 6, 4 and 5, I'm not going to count him out. Now, with that being said, you have to look at the level of talent that we're attracting. I'm not going to put a 4 and 6 guy in there, you know, with a Chris Lytle, or a Marcel Stamps, you know, or Leonard Garcia. I mean, these guys are on a whole nother level. I wouldn't feel right doing that. But I want to give them a chance. You know, they might fight another guy who's 4 and 4, 3 and 0, something like that on an undercard bout.
Okay. Where would you say most of your talent? Cause I see a lot of MMA talent, but are you getting talent from like boxing, kickboxing, all the other sports as well, or primarily MMA?
Oh, we get fighters interested from all over. Maurice Jackson, that guy's a world-class kickboxer. I think he's like 6'6", 6'7", big man, heavyweight, phenomenal talent. I mean, the guy's a world-class kickboxer, and he was on our first 2 bare knuckle boxing matches. So we've had some pro boxers. Reggie Barnett, I think he's 5-1, 6-1 pro boxing. You know, he's in the tournament right now, doing really well. So most of the guys we're getting just happen to be MMA guys, because right now there's so many MMA guys out there, and it seems like there's not that many promotions. So now they get their chance at a new combat sport that pays better than what most of them are making in MMA, and they're getting a ton of exposure. I mean, you've been around this a long time, but you know, how many local promotions, how many regional promotions, how many national promotions are giving the fighters the exposure that we're giving them? I mean, our Facebook fights are getting close to 300,000 views when they were posted. Some of our commercials are getting 1.4, 1.6 million views. The Beck Rollins Brilliant Hart fight had millions of views after the fight, tens of thousands of shares. So right now it's hard for companies that aren't top in their combat sport to compete with us.
So when would you think that you'd be able to do like multiple shows and, you know, like a state after state after state, or is your promotion still small enough to where you're going to do like still one show at a time? Where are you at now?
So I don't want to put the carriage before the horse, but with the staff that Dave has, the people he's brought on board, if we were to build a second ring, I would have no doubt that we'd be able to do 2 shows in one night in 2 different states. The reason why I say that is everyone knows what they're doing, and our motions are so smooth now. We come into hiccups. This Cancun show, I got sick. The 3rd day there, I had a hard time getting out of bed. I was in bed till almost 3 o'clock. Show started at 7:20. I had people step up and help me because there was times I couldn't walk up the stairs. But the other people knew what was going on, so they stepped on up and they helped me. So now imagine if I take that team, I split it. They could send 2 to, say, Wyoming, 2 to Mississippi. You know, if we had the 2 rings, we have thousands, and that's not an exaggeration. We have thousands of applications of fighters very interested in competing in our events. And when he did the tryouts in Mexico, he had 30-some fighters show up for the tryouts. One guy spent 30 hours on a bus. I have no idea where he slept, but he took a bus in. He was that interested, and he was talented. So we can do these a lot.
Yeah,
I'll put it that way.
Okay, so let's be specific. What is your job description? Like I said, what do you call to do on a daily basis?
So my title falls underneath the operations. But Dave comes to me with a lot of things. We've been working together for a long time. So he'll hit me up and for talent. Hey, do you have any guys in this area? Do you have any guys in that area? Because just because we're doing a show in Mississippi doesn't mean we want all local guys.
Yeah.
We need to grow our fan base. The only way you do that is by bringing in fighters from all around the country. So we brought in Sean West from out west, DJ Linderman from out west, Tony Lopez. We brought these fighters in from all over the country to specific locations. Not because they drove in or because they were going to sell tickets locally, but because we need to grow our fan base, and these are exciting fighters. So I've been around this game for a long time, 15 plus years. Even if I don't know fighters, some of them might be coaches now or might still be tied to gyms. So I still have thousands of fighters that I deal with on Facebook and social media. So I wouldn't say it's my main role, because at the end of the day, Dave makes the decisions on the fights. I propose dozens of matches. Sometimes he's like, man, it's going to be a hell of a fight. Sometimes he says, hey, I think we should go a different way. At the end of the day, it's his company, so we do what he feels is best. But outside of that, just like I did with other promotions, I help them find venues. I go into the area a little bit sooner than some other people, and I help with the ground level marketing. Go out there, give out flyers, shake hands, talk to the pre-fight after party stuff. I reach out to a couple sponsors because I'm good at dealing with people when it comes to that, because I can relate to them. We're not out there trying to get $10, $20, $30,000. We're saying, hey, start off small and grow with us. So my title would be, in the operations field. It's funny because we just did a pilot for a reality show, and in it, they asked me what my title was. I said associate. He just looked at me. I was like, man, whatever you need, I got you. Like, you just tell me. Like, I'm not gonna. If he tells me like, hey, we need help setting up the ring because someone could make it, I'm gonna change my shirt. I'm gonna help set up the ring, because at the end of the day, I'm a company guy. I'm gonna do what the company needs me to do.
I know that's right. All right, man. Here's your time to give some plugs, man. Let people know what's going on, what they can expect next. We to see your next fight, who to look for. Go ahead and give them all you got.
So there's some big announcements coming out Monday and Tuesday, so I got to make sure I don't touch on those. Okay. But April 6th, we're going to be in the Northeast. He announced that one on the last pay-per-view. April 20th, we're back down in Biloxi, Mississippi. That's our most active place. Biloxi loves Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. I can tell you that right now. Every time I go around there and I wear my shirt, people are coming up to me. June, we're back out in Wyoming. July, it looks like we're going to the UK. August, it looks like we're going to be back down in Mexico. September, I'm hoping we get another Wyoming show in there. Some of these are going to be on pay-per-view. And Dave has some really big things working out to be able to get people to some free fights. Let's say that. If it's Facebook, if it's through an app, if it's on TV, he's really working hard to get exposure for this company, because people love it. Fans love it. Every time we have a fight, I get hundreds of messages within the next 24 hours, either saying congrats or they want to get on the next card.
I hear you. Well, you heard it, fight fans. Hey, this is Nate Shook, the man. Like I said, Nate's been low-key for a minute. If I didn't know Nate, I wouldn't know Nate. He don't say too much of nothing. He waves and go by the business. Now, big dog with bare knuckle boxing, man. I'm proud of this guy. You know, when he says he does it, he does it. I give him that. When he says he's something coming, something is definitely coming. Once again, Nate, give us your name and who you work for.
Nate Shook, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. And one more thing we touched on earlier, just to clear the air, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship did sign a deal with Anthony Johnson. It's for a fighter. Right. It's for a fighter relations role. He is not fighting. A lot of people kind of just assumed since he's a fighter, he was going to be fighting. He's not. We brought him on because, one, people know him and people love him. I mean, he's just a great person. Two, he's very well connected.
Yeah.
You know, so we need people like that. We need people who fighters can look at and, you know, feel like they can talk to, you know, so I think he's going to be a huge asset, but he's going to be a staff member. I'm not sure what all Dave's going to be having him do, but I can tell you 100% he is not fighting bare knuckles. So.
Okay. For all you fight fans, he's talking about Anthony Rumble Johnson from the UFC, you know, big knockout guy. So, yeah, you would think he should be fighting, but as Nate just said, he's going to be in administrative capacity, you know what I'm saying? So we won't see him in the cage, but we'll definitely see him somewhere. So that's what's up. All right, hey, Nate, I almost forgot. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Hey, so you know what it is, fight fan. Like I said before, I bring you the best interviews often as I can because this is Coach D hanging out with Nate Shook, doing what we do. To hear from me again, peace out.